Hello, folks. This story was sent to me by a subscriber and is intended for educational purposes only. Thank you for watching. 7 grams magic mushroom. The elevator to nowhere. I started my trip with a hefty 7 grams of magic mushrooms. The largest dose I'd ever dared to try alone. I was alone in my apartment, determined to explore the far reaches of my mind with nothing but a notebook, some water, and my phone on airplane mode. The initial warmth spread slowly, a gentle buzz that made the mundane apartment feel like a spaceship preparing for takeoff. I settled onto the couch, wrapped in a blanket, and hit play on a playlist of ambient sounds, hoping to drift off on waves of sound. About 30 minutes in, the walls seemed to breathe. The peeling paint on the ceiling stretched and contracted like an old balloon. The furniture began to wiggle subtly, as if deciding whether to stay rigid or join the dance. I felt a strange urge to move, so I stood and wandered toward the elevator in my building's lobby. Yes, the building I lived in was old, and the elevator always gave me the creeps. Suddenly, stepping into the elevator felt like stepping through a portal. The familiar cramped space morphed into an infinite tube, glowing with iridescent colors. The buttons weren't numbers anymore. They were strange symbols, ancient runes, swirling spirals, and even smiley faces with too many eyes. I pressed one randomly, a purple spiral that felt like it promised cosmic revelations, or at least a good ride. The elevator began moving, but not up or down. It was moving sideways, spinning, twisting, and folding space. I felt like I was traveling through a kaleidoscope of realities, passing by bizarre scenes through glass windows on the walls of the shaft. One window showed a parade of dancing giraffes wearing tuxedos. Another revealed a beach made of rainbow jelly where tiny neon crabs sang in harmony. Each floor passed without a number, replaced by titles like The Hall of Forgotten Socks and Quantum Pancake Breakfast. As the elevator went deeper into this surreal journey, the lights flickered and dimmed, and the air filled with the scent of old books and fresh pine. Suddenly, the elevator stopped, and the door slid open to a room that looked like a cross between a vintage diner and a spaceship's control room. A robotic waitress with googly eyes and a voice like a vinyl record crackling welcomed me. She slid a menu across the counter, but instead of food, it listed emotions and abstract concepts. Hope pie, nostalgia shake, existential crisis soup. I ordered a joy sundae and a philosophical latte. As I waited, the room filled with other strange patrons. A talking raccoon in a leather jacket argued with a holographic parrot about the meaning of life, while a man with a TV for a head silently watched old sitcoms flickering across his screen face. I laughed, feeling lighter than ever. Then, the elevator dinged again, signaling the next stop. I hesitated, but felt drawn to explore further. The doors opened to reveal a vast garden, with flowers that sang like choirs and trees that whispered jokes in languages I didn't understand but found hilarious anyway. Butterflies with kaleidoscope wings fluttered by, leaving trails of shimmering light. I wandered, picking a glowing fruit that tasted like a mix of strawberry and lightning. Time lost meaning as I wandered between these realms. Each floor a new, absurd, and oddly comforting slice of a psychedelic wonderland. At one point I found myself in a room full of mirrors, but my reflection was replaced by a dancing jelly bean who winked and offered me a high five. I high-fived my reflection, laughing uncontrollably. Eventually, the elevator returned me to my lobby, the buttons now just simple numbers again. The trip had lasted hours, yet it felt like moments and lifetimes all at once. Back in my apartment, the walls no longer breathed, but the memories of those surreal floors stayed vivid, a joyful reminder that sometimes the weirdest journeys are the most beautiful. I sat down, scribbled furiously in my notebook, trying to capture the indescribable magic. The elevator to nowhere had taken me everywhere, and I knew I'd never forget the ride.